All right, you're standing in the tunnel before the game. The lights are bright, crowd buzzing, your heart pounding, and in this moment, two things can happen. One, you can let the nerves, the doubt, the distractions all hijack, take over that performance. Or two, you can flip that switch and step into your what I call Titan, TAH, Titan mode. That's the version of you that is trained, prepared, ready to dominate. And that switch doesn't happen by accident, though. It's not people who have it and people who don't, born with it and not. No, it comes from deliberate mental systems, training that primes your focus, builds your confidence, and frees you to compete at your peak potential. And today we are breaking down a 3-step pregame reset for performance that you as an athlete or coach or parent around the world can use, and that ones, coaches, athletes, etc., do use to consistently perform their best. Hey y'all, welcome to the Mental Performance Playbook, where we are breaking down elite mental strategies and delivering them in actionable exercises that you can apply immediately. My name is Gabe, mental performance coach, founder of the Athlete's Health, and creator of It's for Noack Gym. We are training your mind just like you train your body. Now, each week we focus on a mental performance theme that equips those athletes, coaches, parents, whoever with these practical tools, exercises, drills that you can apply immediately to have that stronger, build the stronger focus, resilience, confidence, you name it. Now, this week's theme is our TAH Titan pre-game reset. 3 steps to reach that peak performance as you're walking into that game, that utmost confidence. So without further ado, let's dive deep into that TAH Titan pregame reset for performance, baby. And as we dive into the studio here, you can probably see changed some arrangements up here a little bit. So let me know how you like it. We are also launching some pretty cool stuff. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later into the episode, but it's our For Noack Gym is, if not by the time this is out, by like the next week's podcast and mental exercise being launched for people to use, for people to access, to level up the mental game in all regards. But first off, let's get you ready for this first week coming in as games, seasons, meets are stepping up. And step one that we have to lock ourselves in before is lock in, right? This is music identity, what I call the Titan mode. And this comes around the part of, okay, if I'm stepping into the arena, how do I step into the arena being my best self? And think about this, right? You don't just walk from the locker room to the field with headphones on and hoods up, right? That's not just blocking out the noise, right? Because a lot of times, that's what we're going to see. Or walking from the bus to the locker room. We're going to have the headphones on, hoods up, but it's about creating, what we could call your mental armor, right? And the best athletes, they're going to come in with some type of music, some type of ritual to shift from any of the distractions that are happening in the day to domination. So next time that we're walking from bus to locker room to field, and we have the ability to get ourselves ready, that is what we are doing here with this step one of the locking in. And I got some exercises, some pieces for us to lock in here with. So some places, maybe it's a playlist. Okay, I'm not going to tell you what kind of music to listen to. It's whatever music you want to listen to. It could be that R&B. It could be some hip hop. It could be some classical. I've heard of athletes that do all of them. Okay, it's going to depend on what you want to do to either fire you up, to keep you level, to keep you chill, doing that killer instinct moving forward. Now, that's going to tie us into some other parts, some other triggers, right? Maybe you have a quick breathing exercise that you're doing on the bus. Maybe you have a quick visualization sequence. Maybe you have a mantra that you're going through. Maybe you have a physical bump, physical cue, like a fist bump or a chest tap. You have something that you are coming back to tied to this music. Maybe it's writing some stuff down. Maybe it's talking to a certain person. Maybe it's giving that little love tap, little hug before. Lists are endless, okay? Repeat this, practice this, get that sequence going as we move forward. Now, I've been told, don't fully quote me on this, but Ray Lewis had a pregame dance ritual that he would hit. And his teammates knew that as soon as he was doing that, he was in the warrior mode. And I take this back to remember the Titans. They were having their music and their dance that they were doing before their games. And you can watch tons of shows that it might seem funny, but they're replicating this because it actually works. It helps lock in and it ties into some of the other points that we're going to come here in these other steps. So this first one is locker room to field, bus to locker room, whatever the case is. Maybe your locker room to bus. What are you locking in with? Okay, your music, your identity. What are you saying to yourself? How are you getting yourself in there? And that's going to come into these next steps. Get your Titan mode going. Get yourself locked in. And a lot of times this music is a great way to shift it through the sound vibrations, the waves into yourself and actually get yourself changing the thoughts and the physicality. Step number 2 is the first strike here, right? We're a Titan, we're that warrior. This is that deliberate game planning. And it's the very first move you can control, because what is the very first move you can control? This comes into our visualization place. Okay. Can we see the first couple steps that are happening to a T? Can we walk it through, put it on slow motion and see how everything plays out? Because that's what I want us to do. And when we're tying into that step 1 of locking in, that is how we start to tie into this strike first part, this step 2. For instance, Michael Phelps, I just love this story. He'd visualize so intensely. The coach would put him in so many situations, but he'd also think through them that his goggles filled up with water. He still swam to gold. I mean, it's insane. Now, it's because he's had so many reps under his belt, and he's also rehearsed it both in his head and physically. And that's what we can do, right? You're probably not just thinking about something that you haven't done in practice once. He swam, believe it or not, without goggles. His coach said, we have to get ready for all situations. But then the other thing that Michael Phelps would do is he would see himself doing that. He'd visualize it, go frame by frame. And that is what we can do too on that bus, listening to the music. If we want to walk through the first couple plays that we are supposed to be going through as a team or individually, some of the holes, maybe some of the sets, you name it, walk through it. Okay. It can be as short as 60 seconds that before your game, you're closing your eyes and you're walking through some parts. Now, if we need some specific pieces to this, it's maybe it's the first 3 steps that you're going to execute no matter what. Maybe it's that first play come tip off or kickoff or the start of the match, right? It's you hustling. It's your defensive stance. It's your body language, chest up, head tall. You name it. Visualize just those instances. Those are also the pieces that I listed off that you can control when you're in there, because that's our last piece of when we are thinking about striking first with this step 2. It has to be the controllable pieces, not the actual results or lack thereof that come from this, but the actual controllable pieces that you can go into this and strike. You can't control what your opponent punches, throws at you, but you can control how you dodge it and what you're throwing back or throwing first, right? So if it's tip off, if it's kick, you're visualizing maybe sprinting for that first player, getting to that first serve. Maybe then it's calling out the matchups, and then it's showing that strong body language, right? Chest up. Maybe it's not slouching, not giving in, showing that you're already upset, right? It's those first steps that we are adding, our first strikes to step 2. And all of this is what we're doing before the game, right? Step 1 is locking it in, the music, your identity, your Titan mode, which ties right into this step 2 of striking first and this deliberate game planning. And lastly, that leaves us to step number 3, which is releasing all of this, letting it go. I was just watching The Matrix again, right? And Neo, if you've seen it, he's just slow. Yeah, at first he's not letting go. Right? He was programmed all this, just like we're programmed for that game, but he wasn't letting go, releasing for that max performance that he could do. And that's exactly what we have to do going into this game, this match, is trust and compete. Okay, because the question I get so often is, how do I free myself to just play? trying to free myself to just play, and I can't seem to figure it out. Or the parent is asking that. Sometimes the coach is saying, yeah, these guys, they're not doing it. I've tried a couple things, but it's not working. Okay. Going to bring you back to a story from Kobe Bryant. Okay. He said once the game started, he was no longer thinking about the outcome. He was just working and thinking solely about the work he put in that very next play. That is where the freedom comes from. It's not thinking about the overall thing, because that's when we start to get bogged down and be like, oh my gosh, I don't know. We got so much to come back from. No, only thing to think about is executing that very next step. So if we're looking at this for before the game, right? Because this is our Titans to reset and reach that peak performance before the game, before the matches. We have these first ones coming up. We got to shake it out, okay? You got to physically shake it out to mentally shake it out. Shake out your arms, your shoulders. But as we're doing this, consciously now, okay, any of that stress, it's going gone. We're doing this before the game. We're taking a breath. We're blowing all that stress or anything else out. Let it go. If you need to say something to yourself, like whatever happens, I'm built for this. Whatever happens, I'm going. I put in the prep. Time to shine. The pressure's been on. We're turning diamond. You name it, okay? But the athletes that can let go of the results and just release any of the tension, any of the pressure, and just trust and the instinct and compete are going to more than likely find themselves in the flow state over the athletes who can't. And that flow state is when that game slows down, instinct takes over, and you're not thinking anymore, and you're just trusting. You're just going with it. And that is ultimately what we want to do when we release and get that trust and get that competing in, is to just shake it out, shake out all the nerves. That's why we do the dancing beforehand. That's why we're listening to the music, to get ourselves in those situations when we are ready to go, lock in, everything moving forward. So if you need one thing to take away with this to release, is shake it out. But make sure when you are shaking it out, any of those thoughts are also coming out. Put a breath of that, blow it out, blow that balloon fully gone, blow that straw against the opponent, hit him in the neck, knock him out. Doesn't matter to me. And if you got something you need to say to yourself, rock and roll with it. So then you can get going and move on. TAH Titan pre-game reset for that performance. 3 parts here. Number 1 was locking it in, build your mental armor with the music. Who you are, what you're doing, that ritual, the first couple steps, because that ties into our step number 2 of that first strike, right? Release or rehearse your opening actions, okay? So you are ready before that game begins. You know exactly what you're going to be doing as it starts. And number 3 was release. Shake out the outcome. There's a cat crawling under the desk. Shake out the outcome. Trust in your training. Compete freely. Get some breaths in there. Gets the body ready to go and lock in, move forward, and get in that zone by trusting it. Use this system, 3 steps, right? To consistently see yourself, finding yourself, stepping into the game with more confidence, with more focus, with more of that freedom, more willingness to perform at your peak. That is ultimately why it's this TAH Titan pregame reset for that performance, because we're turning ourselves into that Titan that we know we can be and going and showing it right out there. A couple last points as we send you home, but if you're trying to take these strategies deeper, check out our Frenoic Gym. Websites, links, everything is about to upgrade here, and it's going to be really cool. By the time this releases, not all the updates will be out, but stay tuned. We've been slow rolling it. Please comment, send us a DM online, send us a email, fill out any of the forms on our website. Check out our website. We have updated some, more to come soon, but for interest, get you in. That Frenoic Gym is live soon. In-person training is live soon. Breaking down your mental game and leveling it up for that overall performance so you can rock into your game. My name is Gabe Rummel, founder of The Athlete's Health, this Mental Performance Playbook, and our Frenoic Gym. I will catch you next week. Peace.